Blessed be the name of the Lord. I hope you guys having a wonderful, wonderful Friday. Wow, this week went so fast to me. Fast, fast, fast. And everything's going fast. I tell you guys, the video today is focusing on war. If you see my outfit, my husband will join me later, but if we are focusing on war, war. W-A-R, war is all around everywhere. Seemed like, I tell you, I felt really bad for the people in Jordan that lost their lives this week, and the families on TV, and it's a really sad thing. A lot more death is coming, guys. I really hope that we got our lives together with Jesus Christ, Yeshua Messiah, because things about to hit the fan like we never seen before. Today's program going to reflect on some of the things going on around the country. I know I just put out a YouTube, I just put a message out to some of my brothers in Africa. They had a big explosion over there in Kenya. A few people died, and then we got people coming here in Colorado now. I'll be showing that in a bit. A lot of refugees are coming here. And they shouldn't be coming here at all. Not in Colorado Springs. It's not a big, massive city like Denver, but that's what's going on. And we got all kind of things happening. So today we're going to reflect on some messengers coming from Watchmen. We're going to talk about war reports with Lewis in Florida. And also we're going to get into Monte, Judah Today update, the world news update. Where he reflect on Israel, and then I'm gonna get into some other stuff coming from Wally Tron and Charles Wheelan today. I'm gonna be putting a little bit of him on, as he always talked about Iran and Jerusalem, and these things happening right now. Poor brother Charles isn't here today. He went away last year. And it's just, wow, guys. It's just so many prophecies are fulfilling right now. So we're going to get into that today. Jerusalem, where the end begins and the world ends. That's what Charles is going to talk about a little bit. I'm going to just play him a little bit. And it's a 2-hour video, so I'm just going to put a little portion. We're going to get into stand prophecy. He's got a report coming out about war, what's going on with the war. And I think he did one today about China, but I'm just going to do the one he did from yesterday, I think. So let's get started. We're going to go to Daniel 8 today, guys. So if you want to get your Bibles ready, we're going to be in Daniel 8. Since we are focusing on Iran and all the things going on with Iran, Iraq, Iran, the things happening. So in America and also Israel, just all of us tied in there together. Not going to be good, not going to be good, but it's got to do, we have to do it. We have to get through the bad to get to the good. Absolutely true. That's what Charles used to always say. We have to go through the bad to get to the good. So we know we about in the end, at the end. And then my last message going to be coming from Maranatha, where it's talking about beware of man-made test. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started with a song. I'm going to do my thing on the screen first. I'm sorry. See, I'm getting scattered already. So let me go ahead and talk about that. Buy my ebook, guys, if you haven't already. A lot of you have. I really appreciate the support. But if you want to see my testimonies and my miracles that I experienced in my life, just a little simple book, but a power-packed book with lots of material from my life. What I went through with my family, myself, through the years from 16 years old to my 60s, and think you would really like it because it's not too long to read. It's about 107 pages or so. Anyway, if you haven't received one, you can write me and say, Marner, I'd like to have a copy. We are asking for $15, whatever you can give to support the channel, to support the missions mostly, our missions, the orphans, the widows, and the homeless. So we are supporting the homeless this month in Tennessee. So we do really appreciate all your orphans that come in for the homeless. And also buy my ebook, and you can also get the ebook on the ebook be at Amazon.com, Apple, Google, Kobo.com, Lulu.com, Barnes & Noble. The link is on the screen. ISBN number on the screen. FMCMI.org, where our free downloads are located. Click subscribe, the like button. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the like button. Click the notification bell. Fair use notice. And also our Title 17 disclaimer in front of you. And also FBI notice. So let's get started here with a song over here. I thought I had it out here already, but let me go ahead and look for it. Coming from, yeah, I love this song here. He Who Keeps, okay? Over in Barry and Bothell song, okay? So let's go ahead and get it on the screen. Let me go ahead and mute it out.
UNRWA involvement in the October 7 attack on Israel. U.S. naval forces are attacking the Houthis in Yemen. The U.S. Defense Department is preparing to hit the Iranian proxies in response to them hitting our troops in Jordan. And the U.S. is attempting to sell the idea of declaring a Palestinian state. And the latest stats on Gaza war. Messianic World Update begins now. Shalom, everyone. I'm Monte with Lion Land Ministries. Welcome to another edition of Messianic World Update. Today's date is Friday, February 2nd of the year 2024. It's also Groundhog Day, and you'll be happy to know that the National Weather Service now has Doppler radar and rodents living in Pennsylvania to help us to understand future weather events in this country. But let's get on to something way more important for us. The UNRWA, the UNWA, which stands for the United Nations Relief Worker Agency, has been operating since 1958 with the Palestinians. And this is an agency that has been helping the Palestinian citizens in the various locations in Gaza, as well as in the West Bank, as well as up in Lebanon, wherever the Palestinians have been at, helping to build hospitals and other relief agencies and workers there, providing food and aid to the Palestinian people. The problem is that they've also been working cooperatively with the Palestinians in corruption and doing other things. And this last week, Israel was able to produce the results, the evidence, that 3 employees working for that UN organization participated in the October 7th attacks on Israel. One of them actually carried out violence, one of them was supplying ammunition, and one of them was helping to coordinate. And those employees have obviously been fired. And as a result of the evidence that Israel was able to supply, major donor nations, including the United States and most of the European nations, are now withholding funds to this organization sponsored by the UN. The UNWA, this organization, is absolutely corrupt. Israel has been complaining about this organization repeatedly about what they're doing. It actually supports Hamas and terrorist activities against Israel. It desperately needs to be reformed. Now, the UN, you'll be happy to know that the other organizations in the UN are all calling on the donor nations, please return the funding to UNWA so that they continue their, quote, good work. And that's the situation with regard to that. We don't know the latest status on whether or not the funding will be returned, but one thing is for sure, the people in Gaza were never really getting the aid that they needed, and now it's even more critical. And there are people now protesting the idea of aid even going in there because of the corrupt organization participating against Israel. The U.S. naval forces are hitting the Houthi rebels in Yemen. As you recall, they were launching missiles and drones and so forth at ships that were passing by, interfering with international shipping. They were claiming that they were helping in Gaza, they were helping Hamas against Israel, and they were supposedly going against ships they thought were going to Israel or not. Well, basically what they've done is they've caused a major impact on worldwide shipping going through the Suez Canal, down through the Red Sea, into the Gulf of Aden, and on into other Far East nations. Surface ships, these are fast frigates and destroyers that the U.S. and other nations have stationed in there, have been regularly shooting down anti-ship missiles and drones being launched by the Houthi rebels from Yemen. And the aircraft from the USS Eisenhower, an aircraft carrier in that area, has been hitting drones and missiles on their launchers, trying to stop them from being able to do it. Here's the problem with this whole situation with the Houthi rebels. The U.S. was taking the position that we don't want to have an escalation. We don't want this to expand. Well, it has escalated. It's now a serious problem, and it's affecting the whole world. It's not really a threat to Israel as much as it's a threat to the world. But how do you stop it now? How do you get the Houthis to not do that anymore? Well, you're not going to send a bunch of Marines in there to clean out the mess of the Houthi rebels. The real answer is the U.S. has got to go to Iran, hit Iran, and tell them to take the necessary steps to shut down the Houthi rebels. Because Iran is the one supplying all the weapons to them, they're the ones funding them and helping them to do it. But as you know, the U.S. doesn't want to escalate anything with Iran, and so that's not going to happen. So we have a terrible situation with the U.S. involvement and other nations with the Houthi rebels. No end in sight as to how that's going to be resolved. The Iranian proxies, and that we're operating in Syria and in Iraq, sent a drone in against a U.S. base in Jordan. The base is located right at the border of Syria and Iraq and inside of Jordan. And apparently they did it in kind of a clandestine manner. There was a U.S. drone that was returning to the base there, and they put their drone into the same pattern, and it looked like a returning U.S. drone coming back to the base. Therefore, it didn't get shot down. It wasn't stopped. It came into the base at 5:30 in the morning, hit a barracks. It killed 3 American servicemen and gave severe brain injuries to more than 24 other soldiers. Those guys are going to be probably on VA disability before it's all over and done with, and probably have ended their military careers. So it's a major event in terms of casualties. This was always the line that the White House said, don't kill anybody. And of course, they did now. And they've crossed the line, terrible line against it. The U.S. Has been carrying on this policy with Iran and the proxies, saying, and the president said this very specifically, he said, I'm just telling you, as our foreign policy is, don't. And then we had the Secretary of State saying, don't. We had the Secretary of Defense, don't. We had the National Security Advisor, don't. Everybody was saying the same word for the U.S. foreign policy to deal with Iran and the proxies and so forth. I don't know if you picked up on it, but don't actually is 2 words. It's 2 words. It's a contracted word. It's actually do not. And really, it infers do not do that again, or else we'll do something. Now, he didn't say that, just said don't. You know, I think the enemy was confused. I don't think they understand American contractions. They didn't understand what the real message was. If they understood it was do not do that again, or else we will do something, that doesn't work on children. I've seen parents say that same thing to children. It doesn't work on children. I don't know why the Biden administration thinks that's going to work on a foreign nation. U.S. forces have been attacked more than 159 times. I don't know why somebody in the Pentagon or in the White House didn't think, well, it was absolutely bound to happen. Somebody's going to get killed. Well, it finally happened. And some good guys, American citizens, got killed. So much for preventive foreign policy, taking a strong stance for the U.S. position, and that failed. You'll love the response now. The president has said, I've made a decision about what we're going to do about this. And the U.S. Department of Defense Secretary said, we will pick a time and a target of our choosing. Wow, I'll tell you, I'm impressed. I'm just shaking in my boots. I imagine that the Iranians are just scared half to death about it. In fact, you'll love this. The Iranians, even before the defense secretary could put out that statement, came out and said, okay, we won't do it again. That's exactly what they said. We won't do it again. I really don't understand what is going on between the United States of America, Iran, and its proxies in terms of how they shoot at each other and what they're doing. Nobody's accomplishing anything in this process other than we're further endangering U.S. military forces, good citizens, my fellow veterans, and they're just putting them on the line like it's a shooting gallery. Okay. Joe Biden in Israel is still promoting the 2-state solution as a cure for the entire Middle East. All we have to do, he's come up with a whole new way to do this, though. You know how the Palestinians are over there in the West Bank and Gaza and so forth. Rather than negotiate a thing with Israel, why don't we, the nations of the world, why don't we just declare there's a Palestinian state. We'll just say there's a Palestinian state. Now, this is consistent with the woke and fantasy foreign policy, where a boy says, okay, I'm a girl now, and a girl says, well, I'm a boy now, and now we are going to say, okay, you're a state now, Palestinian. Mind you, they have no government. They have no territorial limits and borders. There is nothing that represents a state that is over there. Most of them, they're just terrorists and people that are just trying to figure out how to get along from one day to the next. For the record, the Palestinians have clearly said this many times. They don't want a state. They want to eliminate Israel. They're there for the purpose to get rid of Israel. From the river to the sea, we want to get rid of them. We just don't want them here. They actually want the world to treat them as victims and to give them more money. And if they get declared a state, well, then they don't get to go around saying they're victims, and they don't get to have more money given to them. They're expected to stand up and be a nation like every other nation, and I can assure you they just don't want that. Furthermore, there's more than 24 Jewish settlements in the West Bank. If you're going to declare a Palestinian state and you're going to encase the West Bank and Judean mountains and so forth in this so-called Palestinian state, what do you do with these Jewish settlements that are in those regions? Uproot them and just move all the Jews out? Well, they tried that in Gaza years ago under Ariel Sharon. They uprooted all the Jewish settlements out of there, pulled them out, and you saw the results of what happened then. The entire area of Gaza turned into a terrorist base. You think that won't happen in the West Bank and the Judean mountains? Joe Biden has a passion of hating the Jewish settlements. He has objected to this over the years multiple times, and he just imposed, this is really wild, he just imposed sanctions on 4 Israeli citizens by executive order because he claims they were fighting against Palestinian terrorists that were threatening the settlements. It's absolutely bizarre what's going on. Let me remind everybody what the status of the West Bank is. It's full of terrorists, and they're threatening the settlers. And the settlers don't have soldiers there. All their men went off to support in the IDF, and so it's just the settlers there defending themselves. And those terrorists that are living particularly in Jenin, the city of Jenin, are Hamas operatives, Palestine Islamic jihadists. Cells are in there. Israel has been fighting ever since October 7th, going in, and even before, going in and rooting them out, these terrorist cells. Those cells have been responsible for sending people into Israel proper, killing civilians on the street, ramming attacks with their cars, stabbing attacks, and so forth. These guys they use that as a base to go out and kill Jews all over the land of Israel. Israel's been trying to do the best they can to contain it and to remove those people. And Joe Biden thinks those are the people that should have a Palestinian state. By the way, this last week, Israel intelligence agents were able to take out 3 terrorists that were in the Jenin hospital. They dressed up apparently as doctors and nurses, and they walked into the hospital, went right to his hospital room, and took out 3 of them. One of them was in bed being treated, and they took the 3 of them out, killed them, and walked out of the hospital, and demonstrating that Israel can go get those terrorists anytime they want. The terrorists are not safe even staying in a hospital there in the West Bank. Joe Biden's plan calls for this declaration of a Palestinian state, the demilitarization of the West Bank and Gaza. Wonderful. Now you're going to get Hamas to surrender all of their weapons. You're going to get the Palestinian Islamic jihadists to surrender all their weapons. The other terrorists that are Hamas operatives in the West Bank, they're going to turn in all their weapons, and Iran is going to stop supplying them records, and then we're going to have a Palestinian state. This is clearly a pipe dream. There's no reality to it whatsoever, but it is filling up the international press right now, and Biden is promoting it, and his administration is promoting it. Israel, of course, is just standing back watching this circus that's going on. So let me give you a quick summary report of Israel's war in the Middle East with Gaza. It's day 118. In Israel, there's still 136 hostages that need to be accounted for. We don't think all 136 of them are alive. The death toll is still 1,200 Israelis, and the wounded is 13,794 Israelis have been wounded and hurt since October 7th. The IDF is still finding more terrorists in tunnels down in Khan Yunis, which is the southern part of Gaza. They're flooding those tunnels with seawater. And last week, tragically, 21 IDF soldiers were killed in one incident last week. It was an accident that took place. Tragic that it happened. So the latest optimistic hostage negotiations involving Qatar and Mossad director from Israel and the Hamas people, they're talking about a possible 6-week ceasefire that would result in the return of all hostages in a staged manner. They would release some of the alive civilians, some of the dead civilians, then later some of the dead soldiers and some of the live soldiers last. And there will be an exchange of Palestinian prisoners for them as well. And some of those will have their sentences commuted that are in prison to be released at the same time the hostages are being released. Tragically, and I say tragically, we think we're going to discover there's a tremendous number of dead civilian hostages coming back. After that supposed deal, there's going to be a resumption of the Israeli war against Hamas, and they still have the goal to eliminate Hamas in Gaza and wherever they may be at. Let me just mention Hezbollah in Lebanon. Right now, Israel is on high alert for them. Hezbollah is on alert. It's still very tense, just as it was a couple of weeks ago. But one of the things that we've learned is that the U.S. believes that if they were to hit Iran in response to what's been going on with U.S. forces, that Iran's response would be to have Hezbollah hit Israel. And that may be part of the rationale for the U.S. delay and carefully dealing with how to deal with Iran, because they don't want the escalation of the war between Hezbollah and Israel, and I'm sure Israel doesn't want it either. However, that's the tension that we have in the Middle East right now. And quite honestly, I don't see how that we can get past it. I think it's going to eventually move to escalation. China, by the way, is watching all of this, how the U.S. is operating, dealing with Iran, dealing with the proxies and so forth. And of course, they have designs on taking Taiwan in the future. And based on the U.S. foreign policy right now under the leadership of Joe Biden, I think it's pretty clear to conclude on China's part that if China were to make a move on Taiwan, the U.S. at a minimum would hesitate, probably slow to respond, and probably might even not do anything. So the people in Taiwan need to be praying for their situation. I would like to ask all of you again to pray for Israel, the safe return of the hostages, and the safety of the IDF soldiers to bring this conflict to a resolution. Somehow, whether we can have peace in the Middle East between Hamas and with Israel. Thank you for watching this program. Remember to like and subscribe our channel. That's very important to us, very helpful. We're very close to a milestone on that, so please hit that like and subscribe for our YouTube channel. Shabbat Shalom to all of you.
Lewis, and God bless every single one of you. Today is February 2nd, 2024, and welcome to the Grand Supreme News Channel. Alright guys, so we have some urgent information coming out. If you can, please share this video. And it says here, a major emergency response is underway following a building collapse, with many trapped inside and reported fatalities. This is happening right now in Brooklyn, New York. Currently, numerous emergency crews and other authorities are on site in Brooklyn, New York, responding to a building that has collapsed as firefighters have declared the scene a major emergency, reporting that many are possibly trapped inside, with at least one fatality confirmed. Law enforcement are asking many to avoid the area as the situation is still developing. Guys, if you can, please send prayers to those who lost their loved ones. Send prayers to those who are stuck beneath. Pray for many out there in the world. There is a lot of stuff happening in these end times that we are living. This here, New York has been seeing a lot of, damage when it comes to buildings. This here got to be like the second one, I think, in like 3 months, right? Or 2 months. Give me a second here. Let me just see if I can find any more information. We have more info. More information just came out 8 minutes ago. Firefighters advised that one construction worker has been, has passed and has been removed from the rubble after a basement collapse. No one else has been reported injured at this time. Wow. My name is Lewis, and God bless every single one of you. Today is February 2nd, 2024, and welcome to the Grand Supreme News Channel. Alright guys, so we have some urgent information coming out. If you can, please share this video. And it says here, Sky News Arabia is reporting Friday morning that major U.S. strike against Persia-aligned targets may begin within hours, while NBC is once again reporting that the 4-6 counter-strike plan in response to the event of the 3 sleeping giant soldiers last weekend is expected to unfold over days and possibly even weeks. But again, the speculation over the scope of the expected strike has grown with each passing day. That there are no strikes. An overnight ISR strike on parts of Damascus triggered initial speculation it could have been the start of the sleeping giant operation, but it appeared another ISR one-off hit on City. We're going to see what's going on here, guys. So you got one side saying something is coming within hours, and then the other side is saying we don't know yet. It could take days or weeks. But there is a dark cloud out there that nobody knows. There is a dark cloud. It's not a metaphor. There is a dark cloud out there that's making it hard for these birds to go out there and do some pushing buttons towards Persia. I believe that God is intervening in this event in the Mid-East. So there is a dark cloud. We spoke about this yesterday. There's some kind of storm out there that is blocking all this from, removing the gloves. Put it like that. So we're going to see what's going on here. Persia, again, Iran. Persia is putting out another message. But we have more breaking news updates. I got to bring this up really quick. I just posted a video not too long ago. B-1B bombers are in the air en route towards the Mid-East. So United States B-1B bombers, heavy bombers, took off from the continental United States earlier today. Won't say when. En route to the Mid-East for a mission. Those are huge aircraft and very, very fast. Whatever is going to take place in the Mid-East in retaliation for the takeout of the 3 sleeping giant soldiers last week, and you know what? It's likely to take place within hours. This link will be in the comments box if you guys want to check out this video. So there's one B-1B bomber that has been deployed from the U.S. and his second bomber is being deployed, I think, straight out the U.K. So there's 2 bombers in the air right now. This link will be in the comments box. We have more breaking news updates.
All right, guys, a lot of stuff is happening in Iran, Persia, Syria. I'm going to get over here to, I just want to play a little bit of Charles Whelan here in the midst of it, because we're talking about Iran, and just see what he was saying many years ago, many years ago. And then after that, I'm going to get into the Civil War, internal revolution coming from Stand Prophecy, and then some other Watchmen material before we get into the Bible and missions. So I'm going to go ahead now and play a little bit of Charles here. I tell you guys, we are right at the end, really the end. Daniel 8, I'm telling you, we just got a lot of things going on. It's very exciting times. You know, it's sad about all the deaths and things going on around the world, around the country. But like I said, we got to get to the bad before we get to the good. So let's get started here with a little bit of this. This video is 2 hours long, guys. I hope if you're just sitting down one night or Sabbath night or whatever and want to just watch something, this is a real good video where he talked about Jerusalem, where the end begins and the world ends, back in March 2004. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just play a little bit at the end of it here, because I can't play all of it, and then get into Stan. And I want to talk about stuff going on in Colorado here too, and I don't know where I put my link at. I had a link here about it, and I don't even know where I put it. Maybe I didn't even put it on here at all. But it's a lot going on here. I will try to put it in the description box, because I don't even see the link at all. So let me go ahead and just get here started here with this. Okay, let me go ahead and mute it out.
In a moment, I'll see to it that you all get the little brochure in color here, The Hidden Jewish Prophecy of Iraq, Iran, and America. This is Daniel chapter 8 and 7 with it. It's the vision of the ram and the he-goat. In this vision, we are provided prophetic knowledge, prophetic information that tells us that you're on the way. You have not come yet. The time of the end has not begun yet. See. Let's make the distinction. Let's understand. There's an end of time, and that's prophetic. And there's a time of the end. This is punctiliar. That means it's a moment in time. This is an extended, protracted period of time. And according to the prophecies, please listen, it may be 7 years, and that's another discussion. Or it could be 3.5, or 3 and apart. Or it could be both. That's another discussion that we'll have during the day. Before this measured time of the end, be it 7, be it 3.5, be it whatever, we can watch for these prophetic events, these predicted events to take place. We can watch for a ram to be pushing. Well, who is the ram? Who is represented by the ram? Well, we have to just talk to Daniel and say, well, where did you see the ram? Well, I saw the ram right here, and he tells us where he saw the ram. And what was the ram doing? He was pushing. This way, that way, this way, that way. He didn't push to the east, but he pushed everybody else. And he pushed long enough that he made somebody angry in which direction? From the west. And as I was watching, Daniel said, I saw a rough goat, a he-goat. And he came from which direction? Come on. He came from the west. He came across the face of the whole earth. He didn't even touch the ground when he came. That leaves air and water. It also tells you he came from a great distance. And he came to the ram which I'd seen pushing. He threw him to the ground. And Daniel says CNN was there with the cameras when they pulled his statue down, threw him to the ground, and stamped on him. We're looking at step 1. Look, the goat from the west comes against the ram and breaks the first horn. That's A. B. This hasn't happened yet. Now I ask the question, who's the ram? The ram is Islam. Who are the 2 horns? Gabriel tells Daniel who they are. This is at the time of the end, Daniel, and he says, these are the kings of Media and Persia. Well, if all you have to do is go back and find out who Medes were and the Persians were in Daniel's day. It's called Iraq and Iran. This is really not that tough to sort out, folks. Watch, because we're going into Iran next. I hope it doesn't happen before the election. I hope it doesn't happen this year. But if you take bets, don't bet. Because we're dealing with crazy folk here. They pulled that stunt over in Spain, went and bombed, killed all those people, and affected the election. And they think they're going to pull it off in this country. That's because they have this way of thinking which is totally alien to the way people think over here. And all we're going to do is say, and Bush is going back in. They think they're going to change the election in this country. You watch. We have to do battle with the second horn. C. Now Daniel was shown that this goat comes and he has a notable horn between his eyes. And this notable horn, he's told, is the first king. He's the #1 guy. And after we have broken the first horn and broken the second horn, it says the #1 guy is broken. It's a Pyrrhic victory. We win the battle, lose the war.
What reference is that?
I'm sorry?
What's the scriptural reference for that?
That's Daniel 8, verse 7 and verse 8. Now when we say the U.S. collapses, what are we talking about? Well, if you keep reading in the chapter, it's really not that tough to sort it out. If you read Jesus talking about the end, he's talking about the context of the end, and this is what he says. He says, the time is coming. It says, upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. What does water represent in prophecy? Peoples, nations, tongues. This is what the angel says. I'm not making any of this up. If you want to read this with understanding, Jesus says when this time comes, the nations are going to be in turmoil. People. Upon the earth, distress of nations with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and for looking after the things that are coming upon the earth. If you'll check that out in the original, in plain English, this is what it says. For there is a time coming, Jesus said, when the nations cannot pay their bills and there will be no way out. Just keep reading in Daniel chapter 8. It tells you how he is going to take advantage, how the man of sin is going to take advantage of this situation. He's going to promise prosperity. It's always the buck. Always. I am totally, thoroughly convinced that the U.S. economy is going to collapse. We're going to be bankrupt, and everybody in the world is going to follow us because we're propping up everybody else in the world. Yes or no? Yes. Listen, 6% of the world's population consumes 80% of the world's goods, services. When we go down, we're taking them all with us. But it does not bode well for us, for U.S., for you and me. We've never known, you and I have never known, not even in the Depression, what a total collapse means. And all you have to do is think just 3 inches down the road, and when Uncle Sam cannot send checks into the inner cities.
When I was accepted to SGU, that was one of the greatest days of my life.
The faculty at SGU really have.
On the 3rd of every month. Thou shouldest not be there.
Does that take place, does that, not say collapse, does that take place to be after the rapture? Or
No,
before?
this takes place before. This takes place before. We're dealing with step 1. Now you need to understand at C under step 1 is where Daniel's first vision in chapter 7 opens. I saw a lion with eagle's wings. He's number 1.
Well, what happens to the people who can't get their checks then?
Did you hear a question? What happens to the people who can't get their checks?
How can they live?
They will become animals on the land. They will have to go out and take anything they can and everything they can. We're going to see martial law in this country, make no mistake about it. It's going to happen, it's going to come. We've never known real want in this country. The poorest among us lives better than most people in the world. But when this happens, the stage is set for what? For a one world order to come on. See, all of this is opening the door for the Hitler of the end times, if you want to put it that way. When the notable horn is broken in Daniel's second vision, that's where the first vision given to Daniel opens. I saw the 4 winds of heaven as they strove on the great sea. I saw 4 great beasts diverse, one from another, come out. What do the beasts represent? Tells you. It's not guesswork. The first was like a lion that had eagle's wings. Lion, king of the beasts, the eagle, king of the air. He's got a double dose of number 1. I watched till his wings were plucked and his lion's heart pulled out. Yeah. That's what happened when that's where the notable horn is broken. Now, where he was the one, he was number 1, where he was the only one. Now, his power is divided toward the 4 winds. Nature hates a vacuum. There's about to be a power vacuum, and there's going to be this great struggle, and out of it is going to come step number 2. And what happens in step number 2? One world order. Only I'm going to call it a new world order. We haven't gotten to the one world order yet. Now, looking at the prophecies, looking at the visions given to Daniel, this is my assessment, and that's all it is. So I qualify it, but I tell you, I believe that this European Union is poised to become number 1. They have already eaten our dollar up. Do you know this? Do you understand this? If you go to any bank here in town and you say, I want to buy some euros, you're not going to get euros for a dollar. You're going to pay, what is it up to now? $1.26, 27? What is it? $1.22. You're going to have to add 22 cents to your dollar to get one of those. It has not been that many months ago that the euro was less than the dollar. How do I say this? I shouldn't, but I'm going to. It's imperative that we go into the Middle East and fight these battles. It's absolutely imperative that we be engaged and involved as we are. Why not? Well, like it or not, the whole world runs on oil. Like it or not, this is a reality of life. When you send those ships across the ocean with all those container cargoes full of things made in China, they burn oil. All right? When they get here, the trucks that pick them up on the docks and take them to you and me and every Walmart and Kmart in the world burn oil. And we hop in our little automobiles and burn oil to get there and buy them. This is a reality. This is a fact of life. The world operates on oil. Listen, 90% of all the oil in the world, 90% of all known reserves of oil in the world are right there in the Persian Gulf. Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait. 90%. You want to talk about Venezuela, Nigeria? You want to talk about Alaska? You want to talk about Russia and the Caspian Sea? 10%. 90% right there. All that's necessary is an Osama bin anybody to just close up the narrow little straits of Hormuz into the Persian Gulf, and the party's over, folks. And that is the plan. That is the plan. That's why we're over there, because that is exactly the strategy. That is the plan. That is the plan, to shut off the oil. That's what they're blowing the Saudi kingdom out of the water about as we speak. Because Saudi Arabia has the ability to produce more oil in a given day than anybody else on the planet. And you forgive me, but they got guys riding around in bed sheets controlling the world. And you say, well, let's just let them have their old oil. Would be nice. Should have been done long ago. We shouldn't be bumper to bumper out here on these roads with one body in a huge... Should have been done long ago. But crying over spilled milk won't work. It's too late. We're at the point where these guys have the ability of closing the pipe. So if somebody tells you, well, we're over there for oil, absolutely true. Absolutely so. And thank goodness they're doing it.
Why would it benefit them to cut off the oil?
Dear, they ride camels. They don't care about oil.
Well, where would their money come from then?
They don't care about money. Literally, a few people in high places, but for them in general, have you ever been to that part of the world? I have. I have. And I'm not trying to speak out of place here, but I've gone over there, and you go out into the desert. I'm talking about desert. We're not talking about Colorado. We're talking about Utah. Okay? You go out into the desert, and way off out there, because there's no trees or anything to hide anybody or anything, way off out there you see this little black dot, and you're driving and you finally get there to this black dot, and it is a piece of black wool flopping in the wind, and a couple of little poles holding it up. And they've got rugs spread on the sand under this black wool, all right? And pulled up next to this, it's not even a tent, it's just a piece of, wool. Pulled up next to it is a brand spanking new Toyota four-wheel drive. And the hood is lifted and a wire runs on a battery from under there, and they're sitting on hand-woven rugs in the desert watching TV. And happy as they can be. That's a fact. And you must understand, they know that they have the world by the throat. They know it. Osama knows it. He's no dummy. Iran has, within the last 12 months, gone to their little island, and I can't even think of the name of the island, right there in the Straits of Hormuz. You know, the Straits of Hormuz, take the Persian Gulf, all the oil comes out of here on the super tankers. Straits of Hormuz is only 50 miles wide, but it's very shallow. There's only a channel to get in and out. And all they have to do, Iran bought several World War II defunct, otherwise worthless submarines from Russia. When they fell apart, they wanted to sell anything they could. So they sold these old World War II submarines to Iran. And you say, well, does Iran think they're going to go out with these noisy clunkers and sink American ships? Not at all. No. But what they did was turn them into mine layers. These submarines have been turned into mine layers, and they are loaded. They are actually owned. I've seen photos taken by the intelligence services of these submarines, and they have these modern, state-of-the-art anti-ship mines on them, and all they have to do is decide on which night of which week they want to go out at night in the Straits of Hormuz and just shut the door. Folk. Sink a super tanker or two in the Straits of Hormuz, and just guess how long it will take to turn the oil on again. This is why we're over there. Because this is the plan. In the last 12 to 13 months, Iran has turned that little island right there in the Narrows into, you cannot believe, thousands and thousands of men. The Silkworm anti-ship missiles, which they purchased from China, state of the art. You know the French Exocet, the ones that the Argentinians used against the British down there? Boom! I mean, the whole ship melted. The Exocet is nothing compared to the Silkworm. They have armed the place to the teeth. This old world is ready to melt down. See? In Genesis 16, Hagar, what are you doing out here? Well, my mistress doesn't like me and she kicked me out. And now I'm out here to die. No, you're not going to die. You're going to live and you're going to have a son. He's going to turn into a whole lot of people. Check it out, Genesis 16. Prophecy. Going to have lots and lots and lots of children, and they're going to have children and children, and they're going to turn into 1.2 billion of them. But you need to know this, Hagar. He's going to be a wild man. He can't get along with his neighbors, and he can't get along with his brothers. Was there ever a more vivid, yeah. And this is payday. The end of the world is payday. We're down here at the time of the end. And what is happening before our eyes right now, what is happening is, this is next, Iran is next. And everybody's going to say, oh. But it's not about Iran. What's it about? Jerusalem. It's all about Jerusalem. We're going to come to this. Now, my personal assessment is that when the U.S. economy collapses and we are no longer superpower, number one on the planet, the Germans and the French are going to jump up and down and clap their hands.
We're going to be like Mexico.
They're going to say, well, we tried to tell Bush not to do it. We told him you're going to start World War III. We told him don't do this, don't do this. He wouldn't listen. He's just a tall Texan in a big hat, and he hasn't got any sense, and you know, and this and this and this. And the world is going to thumb its nose at the United States of America. Write it down in your book. We're on the way.
Wow, guys, I tell you, that guy, I tell you, he's not even here now. I just can't believe it. All these things he prophesied in just the Bible alone is coming right before our face right now. Right now. Daniel 8 right now, guys. I'm going to go on over here now and get into this man real quick here. Well, I won't forget about him here. Prophecy with Stan. Play a little bit of this, not a lot, just a little bit. I just want to see what he's talking about, this internal the internal revolution part, okay? I'm not going to go through all this other stuff, just a little bit. And then we're going to get into missions and the Bible. We're going to go to Daniel 8 for just to let you see what Daniel 8 looked like, if you haven't looked at Daniel 8. And then I'm going to get into, before I get into Daniel 8, though, we're going to go to prophecy here from You Be Ready and also Edward. These two Watchmen, and then we'll get into after this I'm gonna do these two guys, and then we'll get into missions after that in the Bible. Okay, so I got time at just at an hour now, up the clock here. So let's go ahead and get going. Wow, guys, trying to look at that whole video, 2-hour video of Charles, man, about Jerusalem. Wow, just amazing prophecy, man. I went to all this. Most of his seminars I went to, and I think this one here on the screen is from Denver, the one he did in Denver here. But let me go ahead now and get on over here. I think I did have another video to show you, and I don't think I'm gonna have time. I think it's one, I didn't even put it up here actually, guys, I'm sorry. Well, I will have a lot of stuff in the description about Wallytron, yeah, Wallytron. So I should go ahead and play a little bit of this now. But I'm not going to have time to play the whole thing. 3 hours ago, 3 Antichrist kings rising. Let me go ahead and do that because I almost forgot about it. I'll just play a little bit of that, then I get into Stan Johnson, okay? Let me go ahead and do it real quick here now. And mute it out here.
Hey guys, this is Whitetron 101. Just want to give a shout out to Kevin and say thank you, brother, for emailing me this info. It's pretty amazing. And if you have some information or anything that you would like for me to share in a video or something like that, you can email it to me. And it's in my, you can go to About on my channel, and my email is there. But check this out: holy oil, or oil, as we say in the South, made sacred to anoint King Charlie ahead of his coronation. Chrism oil has played an important part in holy ceremonies, including the coronation of monarchs dating back to the early church, as Neil Connery reports. Holy oil, which will be used to anoint the king during his coronation, has been made sacred in Jerusalem. In Jerusalem of all places, they got this oil from, they got this holy oil from there. And we have the rise of the Yanaka. We have Israel's new government that is rising right now with their new National Guard. So I find this connection with the Yanaka and Jerusalem very interesting. And also, I reported in my last video that the second Passover, we're still in the cycle of the Passover right now, guys. Just, FYI, just want to let you know that we are still in the cycle of the Passover, and second Passover is coming on May 5th. And when is this guy coronated? May the 6th, the next day. So I find that those dates very, very interesting. It says right here, May the 6th. May 5th is the last day of the second Passover. So, and of course, they have 2 Passovers. Just in case you missed the first one, you can sacrifice your lamb on second Passover. So we have a Hanukkah, Jerusalem, and King Charlie connection here, which is very huge. King BB is still my #1 choice, but this guy right here, I find that these 2 dates are mind-blowing. And thank you, Kevin, again for sending this article to me, because I'm telling you, this is all beginning to line up very, very interestingly. Because remember, Great Britain, the Balfour Declaration is when Israel started coming back to Jerusalem, was in 1917, and the sun did not set on England at that time. They were a superpower during 1917, and we can see the steady fall after that from 1917, and of course that was during the World War El Numero Uno, and so.
Okay, guys, this was like last year sometime. I know 2023, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it over. And I will put it in the description box. I will try to look at it myself later because he's talking about the 3 Antichrist kings. But I know a lot of things going on. I heard something today that Trump was Antichrist. I mean, I've been hearing all kinds of stuff. But, I'm watching the royal families. As you know, on my channel, I've been saying it for years. And then I'm hearing about the Prince Saudi, they saying could be the Antichrist. They got all the oil. I mean, I don't know, guys. We just watching and praying. So let's get on over here now and finish up here with my friend here, Prophecy with Stan. Let me go ahead and mute it out again.
Welcome to the Prophecy Club. We've got a very interesting and very powerful program for you today. Topic is Civil War or the Internal Revolution. Ronald Reagan said, "A nation that cannot control its borders is not a nation." I've got some very powerful, very important, some of the most powerful, important information I've had in years. Before we get started, let me talk about our 3 sponsors briefly. First, if you want to get gold or silver, we're going to send you to 800-200-GOLD or prophecyclubgold.com. prophecyclubgold.com. Second, if you want to get long-term emergency food, the only place I would send you to is josephskitchen.com. It is what I believe is God's long-term storage food. As you recall, Pharaoh and Joseph, what fed the world for 7 years was wheat. Most of your long-term storage places, $9,000 to $10,000 to feed one person for 1 year. Joseph's Kitchen can show you how to do it for about $1,000, one person, 1 year. And EMP Shield. If you want your car to start, if you want your computers to start after some kind of nuclear event, that's the device to get. And if you go to empshield.com and use the promo code PROPHECY, get your $50 discount and helps your Prophecy Club. All right, now, I've said this many, many, many times, but assuming we have someone new, I'm going to read it quickly. So in August the 3rd of 1984, after being through 5 months of torture, put on the electric chair twice, as he's on the electric chair, God told him he's sending him to America to give them warning. And when he arrived in America in 1984, the angel Gabriel came to him. And this is the message he gave him. The fall of America will start with an internal revolution in America started by the communists. That's the topic we're talking about. This is 40 years since that was spoken. As you recall, it rained 40 days and 40 nights. 40 is the number of judgment, and there's a high probability that internal revolution is going to start this year. Read the rest of it, pause and stop and read it. Now, the angel Gabriel also said to Dimitri Duduman that same moment that I said to the angel, if you are the angel of God, everything you've told me about America must be written in the Bible. If it's not, I can't tell the Americans. Tell them to read Jeremiah 51 verses 8 through 14. He calls it the Mystery Babylon, and Revelation 18, the entire chapter. He said, why did he call it the Mystery Babylon? Now, this is the point. Tell them because the nations of the world immigrated into America, and America accepted them, meaning we're not supposed to be accepting anyone in America, according to in the eyes of God, unless they're Christians. So we really violated that bad. All the nations of the world accepted them into America, and America accepted them. America accepted Buddha, the devil church, the Sodomite church, the Mormon church, and all kinds of wickedness. America was a Christian nation, but instead of stopping them, mean we should have stopped them from coming in, they went after other gods. Because of this, he named them the Mystery Babylon. Now let's jump to 2024. This is an article in the Most Important News of Michael Snyder, a good friend of mine. Headline, The Showdown. National Guard troops and a massive convoy of truckers are heading to the southern border for a dramatic confrontation. This, in my opinion, and I think that the prophecies will also verify it, is the start of a civil war and will lead to an internal revolution, and probably it will start this year. So he says, we've not witnessed a showdown of this magnitude between the federal government and the multiple state governments for a long time. During Joe Biden's years in the White House, millions of immigrants have come pouring across our wide open southern border, and now those migrants are overwhelming social services in large cities all over the nation. We know this. What we're facing is truly a crisis of epic proportions, and the fact that the federal government has done nothing to address it has caused immense amount of frustration in the red states. So, when Texas Governor Greg Abbott decided to take a stand, nearly all other Republican governors eagerly embraced what he was doing. In other words, we're talking about 25 of the 50 states in disagreement with the other 25. That's what you call a civil war. Let's go on. Newsweek, which is not exactly a right-leaning newspaper or magazine, says 25 Republican governors backed Abbott and Texas Constitutional Authority to defend and protect itself against what was referred to as a migrant invasion of his state. Some believe the situation is escalating towards civil war, including me. The joint statement by the conservative governors says, we stand in solidarity with our fellow Governor Greg Abbott and the state of Texas in utilizing every tool and strategy, including razor wire fences to secure the border. We do it in part because the Biden administration is refusing to enforce immigration laws already on the books and is illegally allowing mass parole across America of migrants who entered our country illegally. Civil war. They are saying civil war. Biden administration gave officials in Texas an ultimatum. They were given until Friday, that's this past Friday, to relent and follow federal agents inside Shelby Park, or allow federal agents inside Shelby Park, but that demand was forcefully rejected. Basically told them, hit the road, Jack. Texas Attorney General on Friday forcefully rejected a request from the Biden administration to grant federal immigration officials full access to a park along the southern border that the state National Guard has sealed off with razor wire, fencing, and soldiers. For 3 weeks, the federal government and Texas have clashed over Shelby Park. No blood has been spilled to my knowledge. A city-owned park in the border town of Eagle Pass that was once a busy area for illegal immigrants. The Texas National Guard soldiers deployed by Greg Abbott over this park earlier in January have since prevented Border Patrol agents from processing migrants in the area, which also served as a makeshift migrant holding site for federal agency. The Department of Homeland Security, which oversees the Border Patrol, had given Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton until Friday, and he said no. So what happens now? Well, the Biden administration could attempt to federalize the Texas National Guard, but he says such a move is a warning that it would be a total disaster for Joe Biden. Texas Governor Abbott said, do as much as possible to put up more border barriers and deny illegal entries, and that our head is down and we're working regardless of what the Biden administration is doing. That would be a bonehead move, says Texas. We are prepared. They say that we have other armed. Okay, when he says armed, what's he saying? He's saying we're willing to shoot. we're willing to spill fellow Americans' blood. That's what that, I didn't write the stuff. I'm just telling you this what it said. This is Governor Abbott saying to Biden, we do have other armed state employees on our border as we speak right this minute. And that's the Texas Department of Public Safety, as well as other law enforcement officers, as well as National Guard from other states. Matter of fact, I think the count is up to 27 states on Texas' side. He says, of course, it isn't just National Guard troops from Texas that are down there. National Guard troops and other security personnel from several other states have already been deployed to Texas, and more continue to arrive. Did you catch that? We're talking about armed states, armed enforcement officers ready to fire at federal government officers. That's what they're saying. Governor Brad Little announced Friday that he plans to send more Idaho State police officers to the U.S.-Mexico border to assist with securing the nation's borders. Who's he sending them against? This is Idaho State Police ready to fight Biden, whatever he sends. Texas authorities have since occupied a public park. Texas actions have been supported by Little and most Republican governors. But now there's a convoy of, I guess you'd call them Trump supporters, of good red-blooded Americans that don't like our nation being torn up. So this convoy is leaving Virginia Beach on Monday, and the plan is for it to arrive on the southern border in early February. Now, here's the question. They sent agent provocateurs into the January 6th group, so many sources report anyway. I wasn't there, and I'm not going to be there on this one either, because I don't trust either side, frankly. But if they sent agent provocateurs on January 6th to stir up the group, are they going to send them to this group too? You better count on it. Especially since they tell everybody when they're leaving, they tell the route they're going to take, and they're going to go down these good-hearted, red-blooded Americans that want to defend our nation. It says that they're going to go down to Eagle Pass, and it doesn't say this, but they're obviously going to be toting their shooting irons. Because down the bottom it says, okay, here, let me read it. The convoy will split up by February 3rd near Eagle Pass, 2nd in Yuma, Arizona. Tells their plan. They've told everybody what they're going to do, where they're going to go, how they're going to get there, and then it says God's army. Okay. God's army? God's army is rising up. What's that say to you? Notice nothing was said about getting on their knees, fasting, and praying. Okay, they're talking about Christians with firearms against the government. This is exactly what the Biden administration wants. What? They said, we've all been chosen for this time. These are Christians with shooting irons, ready to pick up irons against the government. Hopefully the showdown that is developing on the border can be resolved through peaceful negotiations.
Okay, guys, I'm going to leave that because I got to get going here. Time is gone, but please go look at the rest of the video. I did about 12 minutes of it, but yeah, a lot of things are happening all over. Civil War, World War III, you know, just things in Iran. It just, everything's going on. Because we're in the end at the end. So let's get over here now and listen to these two Watchmen real quick. And then we will get into missions, okay?
Hello everyone, welcome to this channel.
Okay.
Today is February 1st, 2024. The Lord titled this word, Batten Down the Hatches. The scripture he gave me is Jeremiah 4, verses 6 through 8, which read, Set up the standard toward Zion, retire, stay not, for I will bring evil from the north, and great destruction. The lion has come up from his thicket, and the destroyer of the Gentiles is on his way. He is gone forth from his place to make thy land desolate, and thy cities shall be laid waste without an inhabitant. For this gird you with sackcloth, lament and howl, for the fierce anger of the Lord is not turned back from us. And this is the word. My son, sound the alarm, blow the klaxon, shout, batten down the hatches, for there's a storm coming, and the winds of war are growing stronger.
Yep.
Evil men in back rooms have plotted the course of this nation. While they get rich on all the death and destruction, my children walk blindly, following their voices. Where are my Samsons? Where are my Jeremiahs? My body is weak from the lack of food. The pastors feed my body spoiled milk. My son, my word is not being taught in these places that call themselves church. My word is twisted, and much false doctrine is being fed to a blind people who refuse to repent and study my word. I am about to shake this nation with a mighty quake to wake up my sleeping body. Your cities will be laid to waste, and your churches burned to the ground. The storm coming will bring a mighty wind, and the destroyer will come from the north. Batten down the hatches, for the seas and waves will toss you to and fro. My son, the king of Persia is ready to shake the world. While most nations know of this evil, they do not believe he will act. But I say, I will put a hook in his mouth and pull him into the Holy Land. All nations will feel the repercussion from Persia's actions. America, you have met your match, and much death awaits you. Your leaders are war hungry, but they do not know that I will make them choke on the food that they desire. My son, I know the fear that has gripped my children. They are too busy watching the world and not trusting in me. Prepare your house now. Repent and turn from your sin. Seek me daily, and I will lead and guide your steps. I will keep your feet on the path and give you strength in the coming days. Batten down your hatches and prepare for rough seas ahead. Darkness approaches, and soon the evil one will be revealed, who will take most of the world to hell. All the actors are on stage now.
Wow.
The lights are all on,
Yep.
and the curtain for the final act is going up.
Yep.
Brace now. I love you all very much. See you soon. Amen. Lord Jesus.
Oh, well, okay, we didn't mute that out. Sorry about that. I'll have to check that. Anyway, we're going to get on over here to the Bible, guys. Let me see here. Oh, wait, hold on. Yep, you're going to take over. We're going to go to Daniel 8. We're going to go to Daniel 8, and it's not that much in there. It's by 14 verses or something. But we heard. I showed you. My friend Charles, and he was talking about this, breaking it down a little bit. So we're just going to read it to you again here, Daniel 8. Father, be with us as we go to Daniel 8. We know we are at the end, and we are dealing with Persia and the things going on in the Middle East. Biblically, we're dealing with it. And all these things are coming together as it is written. Collapse of the world, collapse of money, the dollar, just all kind of things are happening right now before us. Let your Holy Spirit come be with us now. If we read your word, Father, to the people, we ask it in Jesus' name, Yeshua Messiah. Hiya. Thank you so much for this message here.
All right, Daniel chapter 8. We're going to try to get through the whole thing. In the 3rd year of the reign of King Belshazzar, I, Daniel, had a vision appear to me, after the one that appeared to me at first. I saw in the vision, as I was looking, that I was in the fortified city of Susa in the province of Elam. I saw in the vision that I was beside the Ulai River. I looked up and saw before me a ram with 2 horns, standing beside the canal. Both horns were elevated, but one was more elevated than the other, and the more elevated one came up last. I saw the ram charging west, then north, and then south. No other animal could stand before him. None of them was able to rescue anyone out of his hand. He did whatever he wanted, and he became great. I believe that's referring to a ram. Is that what Charles said?
Ran.
As I was thinking about this, I saw a male goat come from the west, who went across the surface of the whole earth, not seeming to touch the ground. There's very few people that could be other than
Airplanes. You know.
U.S. and allies, I guess. The goat had a large horn between his eyes. He came to the ram who had 2 horns. I had seen the ram standing on the bank of the canal, and the goat ran toward the ram in a powerful rage. I don't think we've seen the rage yet. I saw the goat come close to the ram. He was extremely angry at the ram, and he hit the ram and broke off his 2 horns. The ram was powerless to stand before him. The goat knocked him down to the ground and trampled on him. There was no one who could rescue the ram from his power. Then the goat became extremely large, but when he became strong, the large horn was broken, and in his place 4 prominent horns grew up that pointed toward the 4 winds of the heavens. See, now back in the day, that was talking about Greece.
Yeah.
But now, you're going to find out the rest of it is talking about the end times. Out of one of them grew another horn, little at first, but which became excessively large in the south, in the east, and in the land of beauty. It became so large as to engage in war with the military force of heaven. Some of that military force and some of the stars were thrown down to the earth, and it trampled on them. It made itself to be as great as the commander of the military force. It took away from him the continual burnt offering, and the place of his sanctuary was polluted. And that's what we're waiting for them to get started again, actually.
What do you mean get started?
The continual burnt offering, the
Oh,
dawn
yeah.
and dusk
Yeah.
offerings, the
And they-
continual offering in Jerusalem.
And they
at the
thinking it could be
Temple Mount.
Passover this year. We don't know. So.
Because of rebellion, the military force will be given over to the goat's horn, and the continual burnt offering will be stopped, which means it has to start up again. The horn will throw truth to the ground, and it will succeed in what it does. Then I heard a set-apart one speaking, and another set-apart one answering him. How long will these things last? This vision about the continual burnt offering, the sin that brings destruction, the handing over of the sanctuary, and the military force being trampled on. He said to me, it will last for 2,300 dusk dawns. After that, the sanctuary will be put right. When I, Daniel, had seen the vision, I tried to understand it. Then there stood before me one who looked like a man. I heard a man's voice calling between the banks of the YAH River. He said, Gabriel, help this man understand the vision. So he came near where I stood. When he came, I was frightened and prostrated myself on the ground. He said to me, Understand, son of man, that the vision is for the time of the end. When he spoke to me, I fell into a deep sleep with my face to the ground. Then he touched me and made me stand up. He said, See, I will show you what will happen later in the time of wrath, because the vision concerns the appointed time for the end. Now see, that jumps past that whole Grecian thing with Antiochus Epiphanes, and now it jumps forward to our time.
Yeah.
We're there, folks.
Yep.
As for the ram you saw, the one that had 2 horns, they are the kings of Media and Persia. That's Iraq and Iran, as
Right.
Charles Wheeling pointed
Charles
out.
was talking about, yeah.
The male goat is the kingdom of Greece, which represents today the West. People known as the West, which I guess that's America and us, Westerners. The large horn between his eyes is the first king. As for the horn that was broken, in the place of which 4 others arose, 4 kingdoms will arise from his nation, but not with his great power. At the latter time of those kingdoms, notice that, see, at the latter time, it jumps way past the kingdom of Greece and Alexander the Great. When the transgressors shall have reached their limit, a grim-faced king, one who is highly intelligent, will arise. His power will be great, but not by his own power. He will be amazing in what he destroys. He will act and succeed. He will destroy powerful people among the set-apart ones. That's probably people we know. By his craftiness, he will make deceit prosper under his hand. He will become great in his own mind, with a policy of security and prosperity. Imagine that. He will destroy many people. He will even rise up against the King of Kings, and he will be broken, but not by any human hand. The vision about the dusk dawns that has been told is true. but seal up the vision, for it refers to many days in the future. Then I, Daniel, was overcome and lay weak for several days. Then I rose up and went about the king's business, but I was appalled by the vision, and there was no one who understood it. We don't understand it fully, but if what the Pope did back in 2021, ratified in around November 2021, if that Laudato Si is it, we're probably going to see this by Passover 2025 anyway.
Okay, we're going to go and run over here because time's really running out here quickly. Beware of man-made tests. I thought it was interesting talking about the Sabbath here again. So let me go ahead and play it right now. I'll mute it out. I hope I mute this out. I didn't mute it out before. Okay.
May 19. Beware of man-made tests. Beware of evil workers, for we are the circumcision, which worship God in the Spirit, and rejoice in Christ Jesus, and have no confidence in the flesh. Philippians 3, 2 and 3. There are those who need in their hearts the touch of the divine Spirit. Then the message for this time will be their burden. They will not search for human tests, for something new and strange. The Sabbath of the fourth commandment is the test for this time. The commandment of God that has been almost universally made void is the testing truth for this time. The time is coming when all those who worship God will be distinguished by this sign. They will be known as the servants of God, by this mark of their allegiance to heaven. But all man-made tests will divert the mind from the great and important doctrines that constitute the present truth. It is the desire and plan of Satan to bring in among us those who will go to great extremes, people of narrow minds who are critical and sharp, and very tenacious in holding their own conceptions of what the truth means. They will be exacting and will seek to enforce rigorous duties and go to great lengths in matters of minor importance, while they neglect the weightier matters of the law, judgment and mercy and the love of God. Through the work of a few of this class of persons, the whole body of Sabbath keepers will be designated as bigoted and fanatical. God has a special work for the men of experience to do. They are to guard the cause of God. They are to see that the work of God is not committed to men who feel it their privilege to move out on their own independent judgment, to preach whatever they please, and to be responsible to no one for their instructions or work. Let this spirit of self-sufficiency once rule in our midst, and there will be no harmony of action, no unity of spirit, no safety for the work, and no healthful growth in the cause. Christ prayed that his followers might be one as he and the Father were one. Those who desire to see this prayer answered should seek to discourage the slightest tendency to division and try to keep the spirit of unity and love among brethren.
Yep, we all in trouble. It's coming, testing times are coming. I'm going to go ahead and close out, guys. Time is really going away from us. I know Daniel prophecies are true. We have gone against the foundation of Yeshua. We have gone against it. We don't want to keep his laws, commandments. So we need to put on the whole armor right now, guys. Whole armor of Yeshua. You know, I get asked, what religion are you? I tell them I'm not a religion. I'm a nation. We are a nation of Israel. We've been engrafted in. God's people have been engrafted in. We know at the time of the Gentiles about up. So, you know, Yeshua wants us to keep his Sabbaths, absolutely, and keep his commandments. As we know, war is getting stirred up really bad all over the world. Eclipses, signs of the heavenlies. I think it's an eclipse. I know we have some asteroids going past today, 4 asteroids. A lot of things going on in the heavenlies as these guys are at war. Always be praying for Israel, praying for the people, praying for the nations. A lot of things are going on. Always be looking after the homeless people. A lot of them being disappeared right now. And we don't know when this can happen again. This can happen anytime too. So we know we're in the end at the end. So I'm going to go ahead and play, go ahead and close out now. I really hope that you guys can really appreciate the material today. Share it with your family, your children, talking to your children, your grown children, your young children, your grandchildren. I just had a great grandbaby, another great-granddaughter born. So happy. And actually, it was really like a prophetic birth that she had, somebody told me. Born on the January 30th on 1/30. And I think somebody told me, look it up in numbers, it meant war. It meant war. W-A-R, guys. It's just amazing. All the signs are showing, even in my own granddaughter's life. But anyway, great-granddaughter life. But we know we got a lot going on. So buy my ebook titled He Did What from Amazon.com, Apple, Google, Kobo.com, Lulu.com, Barnes & Noble. Search by ISBN number on the screen. I should be listed for $2.99. If you want the paperback, you have to write me specifically at marner.campbell@gmail.com, and I will send you a copy, and I'll be glad to send you a copy. And you can always include a donation with that to help the missions and the ministries. So we really appreciate it. Download Gene's free e-Bible from lulu.com, kobo.com, smashburst.com, scribd.com, fmcmi.org. Read the Son of Man Bible PDF for free. Download the Son of Man Bible computer Bible modules for free. Download free at biblesupport.com and wordmodulars.com. King James Version, same locations. And one modular is SOTV KJV, and the one has the Apocrypha is SOTV KJVA. KJVA, yes, okay. So thank you for all your offerings to help the homeless, the orphans, the widows, those in need of mission fields. May Yahuwah richly bless each and every one of you out there that watch our channel, give to our channel, pray for our channel. Subscribe to our channel. FMCMI alternative channels are rumble.com, bitshoot.com, facebook.com, fmcmi.org. Donate by Cash App. Other donation options, website fmcmi.org, marner.campbell@gmail.com, at PayPal. Mail in your donations at Fill My Cup Ministries, Post Office Box 414, Canon City, Colorado 81215. Shipping address is Fill My Cup Ministries, 1501 Main Street, number 414, Canon City, Colorado 81212. Click subscribe, the like bell, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the like button, click the notification bell. Our digital business cards on the screen, and our hashtags are on the screen. So we're going to go ahead and let you go, guys. Sabbath is coming. So I really hope you guys have a wonderful Shabbat. As it says in Ezekiel 20:20, keep my Sabbath, that may be a sign between you, and that you may know that I'm the Lord your God. It is a sign for God's people. So we're going to go ahead and say Shabbat Shalom, and I will go ahead and let my husband pray first. I almost forgot about that. So let me go ahead and let him do a short prayer for us here as we end the video. So you can go ahead and pray.
Well, thank you, Father. It's been wild, and it's going to get more wild, Father, but we thank you that you're bringing it to a close. We just do pray for the peace of Jerusalem and for the peace in Israel, Father. Peace upon your people. Father, we thank you for everybody gets to view the video. Thank you for everybody gets to contribute, Father, and help your ministers, your missionaries all over the planet, Father. We thank you for every one of them. Protect them, Father. Help them be more bold. Fill them with your ruach of boldness. They preach and teach and raise up more believers who will preach and teach till our last breath, Father. We give you all the praise and the glory. In Yeshua's name, amen.
Amen, guys. You guys have a wonderful Sabbath. Really, really try to share the materials here. Go look at Charles Whelan's 2-hour video on Jerusalem. I think you'll get a lot out of it as we're facing it now. I mean, he talked about these things way years ago, and they are right in our face right now today, guys. So it's amazing times we're living in. So you have a wonderful Shabbat, and we love you so much, and we're going to just say Shabbat Shalom. We love you guys so much. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom. Love you guys so much.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.